Hello and welcome to our Superman spoiler chat. I'm Tom Jorgensen, senior producer. I also reviewed Superman. I'm joined by Jim Vejvoda, one of our entertainment leads. Hi, Jim.
Hello, Tom. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm excited to talk Superman with you.
Me too.
As I said, we are going into full spoilers on this movie, so please, if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, or if you don't care, stick around, because here we go. Let's start, Jim, with Lex Luthor's plot. I say Luthor, it's Luthor. I get very stuck in my head with Otis's pronunciation.
Mr. Luthor.
Mr. Luthor. Mr. Luthor.
Right away, Mr. Luthor!
We find out over the course of the movie, there's an ongoing conflict between the fictional nations of Boravia and Jarhanpur, and we find out, big surprise, that Lex has his thumbs on the scale of this thing and is driving this for his own ends. We discover that he is planning to take half of Jarhanpur and turn it into a country called Luthoria, which I was very tickled by the fact that even at the end of the day, Lex is still doing some real estate scheming. Some things never change.
Hello, new West Coast, my West Coast.
What did you think of that overall plot and how it carries the movie forward?
It felt oddly timely watching it.
Sure.
You can't kind of divorce yourself from actual world events sometimes. It's political for a reason because he's speaking to what makes Lex Luthor, James Gunn I'm speaking to, makes Lex Luthor the way he is and how he's a damaged human being versus Superman, Clark Kent, caring about every human being. Every life is precious, even a kaiju's. So I think Luthor's plot is there to essentially serve as sort of as an illustration of everything that's wrong with that particular kind of like tech bro, immoral, that kind of thing.
Well, we sort of consider Lex as a foil to Superman, and how they speak to each other's characters is such an important part of the movie.
Yeah.
So much of Superman's inner struggle in this movie is deciding what is the responsible way to use all this power that he has. Lois and him have that argument early on about, whether it is right for him to intervene just from a moral standpoint, whether it's right for him to intervene in a different country's actions. And the fact that he wants to help and wants to save lives but can't is such a struggle for him. Yeah. And when you juxtapose that with what Lex is doing, which he's not only getting involved in the conflict, he is the one driving it and pouring gas on that fire. That was crypto back there, I think. He's pouring gas on that fire.
Because he stands to profit from it. And
he gets profit, and he gets glory, and he gets to be the center of attention.
His whole thing too, right, is like he wants to be the ultimate human. And Superman to him, this alien, is a threat to humanity in an existential
his idea of what
level.
Humanity should be.
Like no matter how good I am, this he refers to him at one point as a clown or something, like in a stupid outfit. Everyone's talking about him, but look what I can do. Look at all the tech. Look at all I've accomplished by this point in my life. And it's but he has no real humanity. And Superman he might be an alien, but he's the most human one in there.
It's so nice too, the way that Gunn sort of brings things to a head between Superman and Lex, which is that their final confrontation is not some knockdown, drag out fight. It is a screaming match.
They've always been wrong about me. I get scared, but that is being human. And that's my greatest strength.
And it does speak to Gunn's priorities here, I think, in sort of crafting this story, is that the big final confrontation is this battle of ideals and these different perspectives on humanity. And it is so clear how human Clark really is and how inhuman Lex is and how narcissistic and self-obsessed he is. We should acknowledge the fact that Jimmy Olsen sort of is the key to unraveling Lex's plot, because Eve Tessmacher, who is Lex's girlfriend, is his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Or there was like some sort of encounter
they
there.
went out for a couple of times, enough that she met his mother once. And she's like, I think of her like my own mother. And it's like, you met her once.
The joke being, though, that Jimmy is always this G-shucks, like, kind of dopey guy.
Yeah,
and
Superman's
the movie
pal.
positions him as, like, the ultimate lady killer.
Like, even Lois Lane comments at one point, like, how do you do it?
Oh, also worth noting, I think I caught this, I don't know if you guys did, Lex is being sent off off to Belle Reve at the end. They
Yes,
mentioned
that was nice.
Obviously, lots of Gunn does do a little bit here and there to establish the wider world of the DCU.
You see a Gotham City sign.
We see a
at one
Gotham
point.
City sign going into a tunnel. We know Gotham's right across the river there. Not sure whether or not the rift that opens up damaged Gotham in any way.
I don't think so. I think they were going north or something.
Right, yeah.
But it was going to hit Lois Lane's hometown.
Exactly. Let's move on here. We know that Lex is manipulating metahuman DNA. He created the engineer, or at least altered her in a way that
put the
she's able to.
nanites
The
or something
nanites,
in her,
exactly.
yeah.
But he also created Ultraman, who
Mm-hmm.
is this enforcer of his. We do start to question who Ultraman is. It's revealed that Ultraman is a clone of Superman. Let's talk about that reveal, because at least for me, I was not very surprised by
Nope,
that.
neither was
the
I.
movie doesn't even really go too far out of its own way to hide the fact. I think they kind of give it away too early when Lex and his team go and infiltrate the Fortress of Solitude, and we see the fortress arrive. It's like, there's
how
only
did
one
he-
person here wearing a mask, and it stands to reason. We've seen a lot of comic book movies. We know things like this can be keyed into,
Yep.
DNA.
He just so happens to be the same size as Superman, but he's wearing a mask. I think it's like a nice nod to Bizarro.
Yeah, we'll get
know?
we'll get to that in a little bit, because there is a little, especially because of where he ends up in the movie. I think I have a Bizarro theory that I want to come back to. But in terms of Ultraman himself, we need to talk about how he looks, of course, as well.
Yeah.
I got 90s Superman vibes off of that, like the long black hair.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
the suit that he was wearing kind of reminded me more of like a G.I. Joe character.
Yes.
Yeah, he's kind of had a Firefly, Snake Eyes thing going on.
So he ends up getting sucked into a black hole that has opened up under Metropolis. He's inside of a bus when that happens, and he's kind of against the glass. I had very Phantom Zone vibes from that.
Yeah.
Back to the Donner movie. Lex very pointedly at one point says, Ultraman is a stupider version of Superman, like very specifically calls out his intelligence level.
Yeah.
To your point, I do wonder if we're going to see Ultraman come back having been sucked into the black hole as Bizarro. If
It
something
could be.
would have happened.
But the whole idea too with Bizarro though is that there's a whole world, an alternate Earth, Bizarro world, and I feel like Gunn likes that Silver Age stuff enough that if he's going to do Bizarro, he's going to go full Bizarro. Like the way he brought in, what was it, Starro and the Suicide Squad? Like he's going to go full Bizarro world and have fun with it.
Lex has opened a portal into a pocket universe where a bunch of the movie takes place. We're cutting back into there fairly frequently. It's very cool. Established very kind of offhandedly, like this is a normal part of the world. We just happen to have a portal into a pocket universe, and it's kind of tossed off.
Yeah, and the pocket universe thing isn't explained in terms of how can they breathe, where's the gravity coming.
Yeah, they don't go
none
into
of that goes
any
into
of
it.
that, which is the right move.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like I don't need every single thing about the logic of this world explained. People are flying around and punching each other. I can suspend my disbelief a little bit. First of all, do you think they say that Lex created the pocket universe? Now, I'm more of the opinion that he probably opened a door into it, and that we'll find out more about maybe where else we can go into space.
Yeah,
through the pocket
I
universe.
just watched the movie again last night. I think he does tap into it because Mr. Terrific, the way he kind of responds, it seems more like you went there. So I don't think he necessarily created it so much as he did like unlock a door that shouldn't be opened.
He rang a bell that cannot be unrung.
Yeah,
to put it in Eisenberg
you
terms.
exactly. Like for all we know, this you could pay off with Darkseid at some point. Like, yeah.
There's any number of ways they could go with it. Speaking of things that are probably going to pay off in the future here, we are introduced to Supergirl at the end of this movie. Kara, Clark's cousin, comes by. We learn earlier in the movie that Clark is fostering Crypto, and he doesn't really go into what he means by that. It's more of a foster situation, he says.
Yeah.
That was my first inkling that, we're probably going to see who the actual owner is. Very, very fun introduction for Millie Alcock there.
Oh, yeah, she was great. She had that one scene and her take on the character being basically this
Like a party girl, sort of.
raging party
Yeah,
girl.
yeah, yeah.
She goes off to planets that don't have a yellow sun.
Specifically going to red sun planets.
Yeah, so she can get drunk.
tanked. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so I can't wait to see what they're going to do with that storyline. And like you see that version of Supergirl, and you're like, oh yeah, I can see her hanging out with Jason Momoa's Lobo. Like that
Yes.
totally makes sense.
Yeah.
What I thought was kind of interesting is that for most of the movie, you're like, oh, he's the last Kryptonian and all that, and I know she has a whole other backstory and everything, but I did think it's like, does the world know about her, or they
Yeah.
only know about Superman?
Yeah, it's not quite clear, and it is a
And
little.
like,
it
where
does,
did the robots come from, anyways? I want to.
Yeah, there are a lot of unanswered questions, but that's okay because it's obviously James Gunn understanding that he's got a lot of runway to answer those
Yeah.
sort of things. We should also talk about Clark's parents, Jor-El and Lara. We have that kind of hologram of them in the Fortress of Solitude. It's a message that he was sent to Earth with, but it's damaged. It's not quite all there. Very Leia, help me Obi-Wan Kenobi sort of vibes there. Clark has built his entire personality and as Superman really on the instructions of his parents there, which is to use his powers for good, to lead humanity. The kind of thing that we would expect from Superman and we've seen before. What's different, though, is that over the course of the movie, the rest of that message is decoded by Lex Luthor's team after he infiltrates the Fortress of Solitude. And it's revealed that the rest of that message is actually telling Clark, you should be conquering Earth. You should be using your power to perpetuate Krypton's ideals by
spread
any
our
means
DNA.
necessary.
Exactly. Basically, go full warlord conqueror. It's an inversion of the Marlon Brando, Susanna York stuff of like my son and all that stuff, which so many movies in the franchise, that's been the take on them, right down to Russell Crowe's Jor-el, everything, right? So it was a bold choice on James Gunn's part. I know some people might think, oh, maybe it's a misdirect. I actually spoke to producer and DC Studios co-boss Peter Safran after my screening, and I said, oh, is that a misdirect? He goes, no, that was James's choice. That was in the very first draft of the script. It was in the draft they gave to Bradley Cooper, who plays Jor-el. Yeah. Like that's what it is. Yeah. We'll see if they ever retcon that to be not the case.
They certainly leave themselves room. They do go out of their way in the movie to have Mr. Terrific say, oh, I know the guys who would have decoded this. They would never, what they say is definitely what it is.
Yeah,
so
and it's
having a hero do that, it does suggest that Gunn
it gives
is
it
trying to say,
legitimacy.
No, this is real.
It makes the Kents then that much more important. James Gunn loves found family. I mean, the Guardians movies got into that.
Oh, very much,
And, Ma and Pa Kent are not in the movie much, but the heart is there. And you get the sense of these are the people who formed his character. And they're the ones ultimately, like, it's not your blood, it's nurture versus nature, right? Like, and so that Clark is basically from a colonizing species.
Yeah.
So, the Kryptonians turn out to be a-holes.
Yeah.
But there is precedence for that in other interpretations in the comics. I think on TV they did that, or at least I think Supergirl.
Superman's been around for 90 years.
Show.
They've kind of done everything.
Yeah,
at this
like
point.
it's so like, it's also too, it's coming out at a time when we have Invincible.
Right.
And it's very,
That's what I was
it's
going to say.
basically the same idea.
It is very much, I mean, spoilers for Invincible if you haven't watched that, but like Omni-Man being a Viltrumite who has been sent to conquer Earth. Even the outfits are slightly
Very
similar. This like white austere outfit they have. But obviously, Invincible is pulling from Superman, and I don't think that, this arc was like ripped from Invincible or anything like that. The point being is that there's so much shared DNA going on here.
But also, I mean, Invincible was already a riff on Superman, the same way Watchmen, Dr. Manhattan's a riff on Superman. Yeah. Like, it's just, it's a 90-year-old or 85, whatever, however old he is now.
But it's always interesting because Superman is the standard bearer of superheroism, and to see how they interact with a storyline like that and what that says about the character.
Well, it also says, he's constantly making moral choices. He is choosing to be good. He's not just good because his parents were noble, and, it's not like you inherit your character. Your character, you might have traits from your parents, but your life experiences make you who you are. And Clark is choosing to follow the moral example set by his parents, these kind of salt of the earth Midwestern folks, Jonathan and Martha Kent from Kansas.
Another big part of this movie, obviously, is the Justice Gang. One of the
It's
ways
not the final name yet.
It's definitely not the final name, and they're very clear on that. But it's really interesting that James Gunn uses the Justice Gang. We're obviously establishing what the DCU is and what the status quo of this world is. And I think one of the really elegant things that he does with the Justice Gang is it's introducing the idea of privatized superheroism.
Yeah.
And this team is run and funded by Maxwell Lord, who is played by Sean Gunn in a very brief cameo at the end of the movie. They basically
he
catch
has
him
more
on the
screen
news.
time in the Peacemaker trailer.
For sure. Yeah. But the Justice Gang is this privatized superhero team consisting of Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner's Green Lantern.
Yeah.
That idiot bowl cut man.
Yeah.
Idiot bowl cut man is what they should have called him. That's a better name.
They're all great in the movie. I mean, I will say, basically, think of them as like a race car team. He's almost like the Ricky Bobby, right? Right down to their outfits. They almost look like, sponsored race car drivers.
Yeah.
Mr. Terrific's outfit is basically a race car driver outfit.
But it's telling us that there are different levels of, different ways that you can be a superhero in this world.
Yeah, you can get paid for it. Like,
exactly, you can get paid for it.
Sam Wilson had to go for a bank loan and didn't have an income, basically, because he's doing his then Falcon stuff for free. Yeah. There's definitely, you would think, okay, metahumans have been around 300 years. Somebody would have figured out a way to make money at that. I mean,
sure.
Those are the kind of things I'm looking forward to seeing James Gunn and the other filmmakers in the DCU kind of explore, like, what is life like in a world where metahumans have been around for 300 years, and how did our history change? Like, what was the Old West like all of that, like how did things change?
We also see the Hall of Justice being built. They've moved into the office.
It looks
even though
just
it's
like
not
the
quite
Super
done
Friends
being
cartoon.
built.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
There are all these signs that the Justice League proper is coming. Like, they wouldn't have a Hall of Justice for a team called the Justice Gang.
My hunch is that we're going to set up, I think it was Justice League International. It's from the 80s. It's that era, like, Gunn and I are roughly the same age, and so we both grew up with those same runs. I think was it John Ostrander or somebody like that who did Justice League International. But like Guy Gardner was in that, Blue Beetle was in that one, Batman was in that one, and our colleague Amelia Emberwing has a great theory that the Maxwell Lord of it all is how we're going to end up getting Bruce Wayne Batman into the DCU. That he's going to be like Maxwell Lord, while no Lex Luthor, he's not much better.
Yeah.
And I'll come in and we're going to turn this around. We're going to be a proper superhero team.
That is all the time we have for our spoiler chat for right now, Jim, but thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
You can be sure to go check out my review for Superman, which is live now. It's in theaters now, obviously. And for everything else Superman, you are already in the right place. IGN.